A few days ago, PlayStation told you that in 2028, you'll never own a game again. A generation of gamers will miss out on the thrill of getting ripped off at GameStop, selling their old games back for pennies on the dollar, and we're losing just one more piece of that American dream. You won't own a product anymore, you'll own a license, and anyone who's bought a movie on Amazon Prime only to watch it vanish knows exactly what a license is worth. Absolutely fucking nothing. The meme is that you'll own nothing and be happy. That used to be a joke. I don't think people are laughing anymore because it's the perfect picture of where this entire industry is going. Owning nothing is what they announced, but paying forever is what they didn't because you already do. And I'm going to show you how it's about to get way worse. And why. A game that a lot of people call a scam, one of the most aggressively monetized out there, is paradoxically the exception. It's a bold statement, but I'll prove it. And first, you need to see how one-sided this fight for ownership has become. Because a little while ago, gamers did something they almost never do. They organized. Over 1 million people signed a formal petition in the European Union, and this is way more important than a meaningless change.org grant. In the EU, it's a real legal mechanism with a bar so high, I don't think they ever expected anyone to clear it. 1 million verified signatures minimum. It's window dressing, the we'll pretend to listen mechanic, so to speak. It was called Stop Killing Games, started by YouTuber Ross Scott, and it asked for one thing, just one. When a company shuts a game down, they have to leave it in the state where you can still play it. That's it. Just don't take away the thing I paid for. And gamers came out in droves. It cleared every threshold and became one of the most successful citizen initiatives in the history of the EU. I made a video about this last year that really gets into the weeds of the proposal, if you're interested in that. But unfortunately, guys, this is not a superhero movie. Good guys don't always win, especially when there's money involved. This June, the industry won. A coalition of publishers lobbied against it, and the European Commission sided with them. They said they can't require companies to let you keep your games, intellectual property rights, and some other bullshit. So instead of a law, we're getting a voluntary code of conduct, which is corporate for we'll police ourselves, trust me, bro. 1 million people stood up, asked on things they'd already bought, and the industry spent serious money to make sure the answer was no. That's who they really are. When it comes down to it, they aren't our friends. It makes it harder to empathize with the studios closing every day. We've become numb to it. Sprinkle in that they're willing to fight us in court to make sure we lose everything, and the industry deserves everything it gets from my perspective. And I really believe that this is the catalyst for Sony to decide to stop producing physical game media. The timing's too convenient. And it's a shame because I can remember back in 2013 when Sony won an entire console generation on this exact issue. Microsoft floated all these used game restrictions on Xbox One, and Sony pounced literally hours after Xbox's big presentation. It made an ad. 2 guys, one of them showed how to share a PlayStation game by handing the other guy a disc. That was the whole joke. On PlayStation, you'd own your games, you could lend them, keep them, trade them, and they mocked Microsoft into the ground for trying to take that away. 13 years later, now they're the ones doing it, and it's funny how principles disappear the second you've won a major legal hurdle. I'm old enough to know that Sony's a greedy company just like every other one. They already charge you a monthly fee just to play the online multiplayer you already paid full price for when you bought the game. Stop paying for that subscription, you reach in, switch off half of what you bought. Because you own nothing. It's a hostage situation with a monthly invoice, and it's so bad now that regulators in Europe are investigating the mechanics inside games as psychological manipulation. Games you paid $70 for are stuffed with loot boxes and battle passes that are basically slot machines. Every single one of these is the same move. You own less, you pay more, forever. And it's about to get way more expensive for everybody. The next PlayStation reportedly cost Sony around $960 just in parts. And when investors asked about it, Sony said, and I'm using their words, that as a principle, they don't intend to sell the new hardware at a significant loss. For 30 years, consoles sold at a loss on purpose because they made it back on the games in a massive way. That kept them relatively affordable. That deal with the consumer is completely over. Right now, the PlayStation Pro already costs $900. This is the first console generation in history, where the hardware gets more expensive as it ages instead of cheaper. There was a golden age when a $1,000 gaming PC would embarrass any console. That PC doesn't exist anymore, not at that price. It's closer to $2,000 now, or more. Guys, if this is landing for you, do me a favor and hit the like button. And tell me in the comments, what's a game you paid for that got taken away from you? I know it hurts. I'll go first. Star Wars Galaxies. Losing the live servers was like losing everything I did in my 20s. I still play, but it's not the same. Now, all of this brings me back to the one game that picked your side before there was even a side to pick. Star Citizen. Go back to 2012. Chris Roberts is launching this thing on Kickstarter because he knows the publishers are all about creative control, bottom lines, and profit over substance. He went crowdfunded specifically so that no corporate suit could ever pull the plug on the game if it stopped being profitable enough. He'd watched games die when publishers flipped the switch, and he built an entire funding model around never letting that happen to this one. And from day one, he promised private servers in early YouTube interviews during the Kickstarter. The ability for players to host the game themselves, mod it, keep it alive on their own, so that even if the company ever walked away, the community could keep the verse running. A game by the players for the players that outlives the studio that made it. He's claimed he wants Star Citizen to exist in some capacity for 100 years. Well, I'm playing 30-year-old games now, so I guess it's not really out of the question. Over a decade before 1 million people signed a petition begging governments to force companies to let them keep their games, Chris Roberts built an entire studio philosophy around doing it voluntarily. It's pretty impressive foresight. Private servers aren't a thing yet, but it's the long-term goal. The game is complicated, the tech is enormous, and it's way down the priority list until the game's in a 1.0 state. But the intent has been baked into this project's DNA since before most of the games we just talked about even existed. And that same philosophy is all over how Star Citizen treats your money. Now, if you're laughing right now because they'll sell somebody a $1,000 ship if they want it, or because there's an optional subscription I pay for every month, or because their sales run on fear of missing out, I get it. All of that's real, none of it is hidden. But it works completely differently than everything I just described because the people spending the money are subsidizing this game for everybody else. That is a massive, massive difference. The game costs $45. $45 only. One purchase and you're done. And from those $45, every ship that flies in this game, every single one, you can eventually earn by playing it with credits you make in the game or through the game itself. Eventually, we'll even craft them in the game. Those big expensive ships absolutely gate nothing. Somebody paid real money for two things: a shortcut to the exact gameplay they want, and funding that goes straight to the studio with no publisher in the middle. That's it. And think about what those $45 buys you against everything we just covered. It's less than the sales tax on that $1,000 console that you'll be forced to buy. It's a game you own, not a license they can revoke, and it's like Guild Wars 2 with no required add-on purchases or ongoing fees, so there's no battle pass clock ticking until you need to spend again. In games the industry's pushing now, spending is baked into the progression. If you don't pay, you fall behind. Here, it sits on top of the game. Skip all of it, and you still have everything. The subscription's optional. I pay it, I get 2 little cosmetic items a month, and some rotating ships to fly around in the verse. It gates nothing. I pay it to support the game and because the extra ships help me make content. Nobody's got their hand around my throat, forcing me to spend money or lose my account access. Star Citizen relies on limited ship sales, as you know, the fear of missing out we all hate. I won't pretend otherwise, but the community solved that, and that's why my partners at the Impound are the reason that FOMO really has no bite anymore. The Impound's a trusted third-party marketplace for Star Citizen where you can pick up ships and rare items that aren't directly for sale from CIG anymore. They don't sell credits, they've got an excellent trust rating, and I wouldn't work with them if they didn't. So the next time you get that overwhelming urge to buy a ship, check them out first. Listen, I support Star Citizen because there are no real money loot boxes. If you buy something, you get that exact thing instantly with no strings attached. Loot boxes are the absolute worst part of gaming, and it's something that they've never done. If you want something, they'll sell it to you, but you don't need to buy anything. It's not like the free-to-play games where it's impossible to progress without spending. You can rent ships in the game with in-game currency, so every game loop is available to anyone all of the time. It's an aggressive but ultimately gamer-friendly monetization, which is the whole point. If you stop funding this game tomorrow, maybe you get frustrated with how long it's taking, throw your hands up and walk away. And if you do, every ship you bought is still yours. Your account doesn't change, not one bit. You can leave for 2 years, come back, and everything's exactly where you left it. Meanwhile, stop paying that PlayStation Plus fee and everything you unlocked is gone until you pay again. Listen, we might have lost, but the fight's not over. Stop Killing Games is still pushing in Europe, in California, and I hope they win because every gamer deserves what Star Citizen backers already have. But make no mistake about which side everyone's on. The whole industry just told you in a courtroom and on a stage that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it. And this one game, the one game that a lot of people are going to tell you is a scam, has been building the opposite the entire time. That's why I'm still here. I'll see you in the verse.